Hi and welcome everyone. Lisa here for Honeybee Stamps. Thanks for joining me for another card video. So I'm back with a few more cards using the freshly picked stamp set. I'm obsessed with this stamp set. I absolutely love it. I think it's my fave right now. Also, I'm going to be sharing a really fun inking technique with you a little bit later in the video, so hang around for that. Now I have a few supplies laid out here that I'm going to be using. Some blender brushes, the stamp set, and the coordinating dies. Now you can see those dies there to the right. You are going to get a larger and a smaller die for your images. Now the larger one is going to leave a white area around your stamped image, while the smaller one won't leave that white around your stamped image. We're going with the smaller die for this. So I have my card panel. And I'm going to take the mask that I created earlier. I just ran those dies through my die cut machine with inexpensive paper to create some mask. And I'm using repositionable tape to randomly place those. We're going to come in with a blender brush and some turquoise ink. And then we're going to carefully remove each of those masks. Now I created a DIY stencil. You could use the layering stamp for this instead of a stencil, but I just thought this was going to be a little bit quicker. So I'm just going to put a little bit of repositionable tape on the back of that, and then I'm going to ink up a few of these pears. Now this is going to fill that in completely. We're not going to have any white space once we remove it. I'm only going to ink up the pears that have the stems on them. So now for the pear slices, we're actually going to stamp the outline image on these. And I'm just going to use my acrylic block with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm going to stamp these. Now, if they're not perfect, don't fret over it. It just adds a really fun touch to your card. By the time we get through adding all of the little details that we're going to do, you won't even pay attention to it. So I did come in and stamp 3 of the whole pears with the outline just to pull those out a little bit. So this stamp set has lots of detail stamps with it. I'm just using those to create fun little patterns on the card. I'm using black ink with this, just having fun with it. I decided that I wanted to stamp some leaves with my pears, but I wanted them to be subtle, so tone on tone. I'm just stamping the leaves with the same turquoise ink that I inked the background with. And 3 of the pears had nothing on them. I decided to come in with some gray ink and add a few little details to those as well. Now we're going to set this aside and let it dry, and I'm going to walk you through that fun inking technique. First, I randomly stamped 5 of the whole pears. I'm leaving a lot of space between these because I'm going to be doing some black lines on this, and I want to have a lot of space to do that. To get started, I laid down that layering stamp for this and lined it up with one of the pears. It's on the lid of the Misty. I have my Pear Tart ink here, and what I'm doing is I'm taking my ink pad and I'm tilting one corner of it down, and I'm essentially using it like a marker. I'm coloring on my stamp. And I'm going to build color like this. It also does this really cool pattern, like it's got a lot of texture to it. And you'll see that when we pull it up close. I'm going to come in with a darker green ink now. Now here's the key to this. The darker the ink, the less you lay down. I used Pear Tart for my lightest color. This is Bamboo Leaves that I'm using here. I'm going to come in with a gray ink next to really darken that up. I'm going to use London Fog, and again, the darker the ink, the less you lay down. So you're going to see me just barely tracing the edge of that stamp, and you can see how it creates that shadow there. So here I wanted to give you a better look at it, so it's a little sideways there, but you can see the stamp there. And I'm just laying the corner of the ink pad on the stamp, and I'm just going to rub it back and forth. That's all I'm doing. I don't pick it up until I'm done, and then I just keep on doing that. Once I have the ink on there like I want it, I go ahead and stamp it. Now notice how I left a lot of white space there? That's going to guarantee me that when I come in with the final layer of this light ink, that it's going to be very light. So I try to avoid that area as much as possible while I'm adding the ink here. I've come in with the bamboo leaves now. We're creating that little bit of shadow there. And then we're going to come in with the gray ink and do the same as well. And then fill in that last bit of the Pear Tart color. So it's a really fun technique to use, and you can see there how you get that fun texture there. And just play around with it. Have fun with it. That's actually, I was just playing around with my ink pads one day and discovered, hey, this is kind of cool. So yeah, play around with it. I'm just going to create some black lines, and then I'm going to color them in with my black Copic markers. I'll finish that off screen because it's quite tedious to watch. And I did go around those green pears with a N0 just to add a little bit of shading to those to help pop them up off of the card panel. So I'm using my Honeybee Stamp Precision Tip Glue. Love this glue. To add the panels to the card bases, just centering those up. Now I'm stamping sentiments from the Pearfect sentiment stamp set, and we're also going to die cut those out with the coordinating honey cuts. I used VersaFine Onyx Black ink to stamp that. Now I I die cut several layers of the sentiment, and I'm just going to stack all these together using my precision glue. And then we're going to add these to the card bases. And then I do believe that is going to bring us to the end of this video, where I am going to try to tell you that my next video won't be freshly picked pears or any other freshly picked fruit. But I love this stamp set so much. So I really do appreciate you joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please click the subscribe button and ring the bell for new content to the channel. For more information on the products I used, head over to the Honeybee Stamps website. And until next time, take care.